Room 237 has had 4 different residents this year, and none of them left to go home. I'm the current occupant, and I've uncovered why this billion-dollar industry desperately wants to keep families in the dark. The truth about what really happens behind these sterile walls will shock you. Walking into a nursing home means kissing your independence goodbye. No more deciding when to grab a midnight snack or sleep until noon on Sunday. Your day now follows their clock, not yours. Breakfast at 7 a.m. sharp, lunch at noon, dinner at 5 p.m. Hungry at 3 p.m., too bad? Want to sleep in because you couldn't fall asleep until 2 a.m.? Forget it. The schedule rules everything, and you're just along for the ride. Then there's your new roommate situation. Remember having your own space? Well, say hello to sharing a cramped room with Martha, who snores like a freight train and watches soap operas at full volume. You didn't choose Martha. The facility did. She could be delightful or drive you completely bonkers, but either way, she's your new permanent neighbor. Want to take a simple walk outside? You'll need permission first. And maybe an escort. And probably have to wait until someone's available to supervise. The fresh air that used to be just outside your door now requires paperwork and planning. Let's not forget how staff decide when you get help with basic needs. Need the bathroom? Wait your turn. Want help getting dressed? They'll get to you when they can. Your urgency doesn't match their schedule, and their schedule always wins. Privacy becomes a foreign concept fast. Common areas buzz with constant activity, conversations you can't escape, and people everywhere. Finding a quiet moment alone feels impossible when you're surrounded by dozens of other residents and busy staff members. The weird part is how quickly you realize that asking permission becomes your new normal. Permission to leave, permission to eat, permission to have visitors stay past 8 o'clock. But the loss of personal freedom is just the beginning of what makes nursing home life so challenging. Wait until you discover how understaffing affects everything else. The harsh reality of nursing homes hits hardest when you're lying in bed at 2 a.m., desperately needing to use the bathroom, and you've been pressing that call button for 20 minutes, still waiting. The hallway echoes with silence while your bladder screams for relief. Here's what nobody talks about. 90% of nursing homes in the United States are reported to be understaffed. That's not a typo. 9 out of 10 facilities simply don't have enough people to properly care for their residents. Makes sense why help feels so slow, right? When facilities cut corners on staffing, you become the victim of basic math. One nurse trying to handle 30 residents means each person gets roughly 16 minutes of attention per 8-hour shift. Try getting dressed, taking medication, eating breakfast, and addressing health concerns in 16 minutes. Impossible. The overworked staff aren't necessarily bad people. They're drowning. They rush through medication rounds, sometimes forgetting crucial steps or mixing up prescriptions. That blood pressure pill you need, well, it might get skipped because Nurse Janet is dealing with 3 emergencies simultaneously down the hall. Then there's the impatience factor. When someone is juggling impossible demands, their bedside manner suffers. You might feel like you're bothering them when asking for water. Basic human dignity gets lost in the chaos of understaffed madness. And the weird part is how small requests become monumental tasks. Need fresh sheets? That could take hours. Want help getting to the dining room? Better hope someone's available. The simplest daily activities transform into lengthy negotiations with exhausted staff members who are spread thinner than butter on toast. Medication errors skyrocket when people are overworked. Wrong dosages, missed pills, or giving someone else's heart medication to you becomes frighteningly common. Your health literally depends on someone who's already handling too much. But the understaffing crisis creates an even darker problem that most families never see coming. When staff members are stretched too thin, residents don't just get slower service, they get forgotten entirely. Nearly 12% of nursing home residents report experiencing neglect. And that's just the ones brave enough to speak up. Here's what neglect actually looks like. Your call button sits there blinking while you desperately need help getting to the bathroom. By the time someone shows up, if they show up, it's too late. The embarrassment stings, but the bigger problem is what happens next. Nothing. No one checks if you developed a rash or infection from sitting in wet clothes. Bed sores are the classic warning sign everyone talks about, but they're just the tip of the iceberg. These painful wounds develop when you can't move or get repositioned regularly. Left untreated, they can become life-threatening infections. Yet, overworked staff often miss the early signs or simply don't have time to prevent them. Then, there's the sneaky stuff that builds up over time. Skip medications because someone got distracted. Miss doctor appointments because nobody remembered to arrange transportation. Dehydration because water glasses sit empty for hours. Bath time becomes a luxury rather than basic hygiene. When facilities are rushing through their daily routines, residents might get cleaned with wet wipes instead of proper washing. The weird part is how quickly this becomes normal, both for staff and residents. But here's the scariest truth about neglect. It often gets mistaken for natural aging. Family members visit and think, well, mom seems weaker, but she's getting older. They don't realize she's actually malnourished, dehydrated, or fighting an infection that should have been caught weeks ago. The line between understaffing and neglect gets blurry fast. Unfortunately, sometimes that line disappears completely and neglect turns into something much darker and more deliberate. When most people think about abuse in nursing homes, they picture the extreme cases that make headlines. But here's what they don't tell you. Abuse happens way more often than anyone wants to admit, and it's not always the dramatic stuff you see on the news. 5 million older Americans experience some form of abuse every year. That's not a typo. 5 million. Many of these cases happen right inside nursing facilities where families think their loved ones are safe. The scary part? Physical abuse is just the tip of the iceberg. Sure, unexplained bruises and injuries happen, but emotional abuse cuts deeper and happens daily. Staff members who snap at residents, ignore their requests on purpose, or make them feel stupid for asking questions. It's the eye rolls, the impatient sighs, the way someone might talk to you like you're a child who can't understand anything. Then there's financial abuse, which is basically theft with a fancy name. Personal belongings mysteriously disappear. Money goes missing from accounts. Family heirlooms vanish without explanation. Who's going to believe the elderly resident over the trusted staff member? But here's the really messed up part. Many residents don't report abuse because they're terrified of retaliation. What if complaining makes their care even worse? What if staff members take revenge by being slower to help with bathroom needs or forgetting to bring medications on time? The signs are often subtle. A once chatty person becomes withdrawn. Someone who used to smile stops making eye contact. They might flinch when certain staff members approach or suddenly become fearful of people they once trusted. Makes sense, right? When you're completely dependent on others for your most basic needs, speaking up feels like a dangerous gamble. And speaking of dangerous situations, the fear doesn't stop there. When you move into a nursing home, something heartbreaking happens almost immediately. The people who matter most to you suddenly feel a million miles away, even if they live just across town. Distance becomes your first enemy. Many families choose nursing homes based on quality ratings or insurance coverage, not proximity to loved ones. Your daughter might live 30 minutes away, but with traffic and her work schedule, those visits drop from daily coffee chats to maybe twice a week if you're lucky. Then there's the visiting hours problem. Remember when your grandson used to pop by after school for cookies? Well, that's over. Most facilities have strict windows when visitors are allowed. No more spontaneous Sunday afternoon visits or late-night heart-to-heart talks with your best friend. Everything needs to be planned, scheduled, approved. Let's not forget how technology becomes another barrier. Some nursing homes limit phone access or have unreliable internet. Your daily FaceTime calls with your sister in Florida? Gone. That group chat where you shared funny memes with your book club? Ancient history now. Staff might promise to help you stay connected, but when they're rushing between 20 other residents, your video call gets postponed again and again. The weird part is how forced the new social situation becomes. Sure, there are other residents around, but friendship can't be manufactured like cafeteria meals. You might have been best friends with your neighbor for 40 years, sharing secrets over the fence. Now you're supposed to bond with Gladys from Room 12B who hates your favorite TV shows and talks through every movie. Loneliness creeps in fast when familiar voices disappear from your daily routine. But the isolation goes deeper than just missing people. It's about losing your entire support network right when you need it most. Let's talk about something we all take for granted until it's gone: choosing what and when to eat. In nursing homes, even this basic pleasure gets stripped away faster than you can say Mystery Meat Tuesday. Your dining choices? Well, there aren't many. The kitchen decides you're having meatloaf whether you hate it or not. Allergic to mushrooms? Good luck explaining that to the overworked staff who forgot to check your chart again. But here's the kicker. Mealtimes are set in stone. Hungry at 3 p.m.? Too bad. Dinner's at 5:30 sharp. Want a midnight snack like you've done for decades? Not happening. Your stomach doesn't get to vote anymore. The cafeteria feels like a school lunchroom, except everyone's using walkers instead of backpacks. Long tables, plastic chairs, and conversations you can't escape from. Remember quiet dinners at home? Those are history now. Then there's the food quality issue nobody wants to discuss. Bland doesn't begin to cover it. Salt's restricted, spices are practically banned, and everything tastes like it was cooked 3 days ago, which it might have been. Staff rush through meal prep because they're handling 50 other residents too. Special dietary needs become a guessing game. Diabetic? Hope they remember. Heart condition requiring low sodium? Cross your fingers. Cultural food preferences? What's that? And the weird part is requesting something as simple as crackers or fruit becomes a formal process. You need permission for an apple. An apple. Like you're asking to borrow the family car. Even birthday cakes require approval and planning weeks in advance. Spontaneous treats your grandkids brought, those need inspection first. Food connects us to memories, culture, and comfort. Losing control over it cuts deeper than most people realize. But wait until you hear about what happens when medical records get mixed up. Your medical chart sits in a folder somewhere, filled with handwritten notes that look like ancient hieroglyphics. Half the time, the nurse can't read the doctor's handwriting from last Tuesday. The other half? Well, someone forgot to write anything down at all. Medical record keeping in nursing homes operates like a game of telephone played by exhausted people working double shifts. Information gets lost, mixed up, or simply never recorded in the first place. Your allergies might be listed as penicillin when you're actually allergic to shellfish. Makes sense, right? Except when they serve you shrimp for dinner. Staff turnover makes this nightmare even worse. The nurse who knew you take your blood pressure medication with food quit last month. The new person doesn't know your routine, can't find the notes, and assumes you're just being difficult when you refuse the pills on an empty stomach. Your personal medical history becomes a guessing game. Then there's the issue of communication between shifts. Day shift writes that you complained of chest pain. Night shift never sees the note because it got stuck between pages. Morning shift arrives to find you still uncomfortable with no idea what happened 12 hours earlier. But here's the scary part. Medication errors happen when records are incomplete or wrong. Too much of one drug, not enough of another. Or combinations that shouldn't mix. The pharmacy sends what's on the chart, not necessarily what you need. Generic care plans get slapped onto everyone because individualized notes take time nobody has. Your specific needs disappear into cookie-cutter treatment protocols designed for the average resident, which would be fine if any of us were actually average. Documentation gaps create liability issues too, meaning facilities sometimes prioritize covering themselves legally over accurate patient information. And when family members ask questions about your care, good luck finding reliable answers in those messy, incomplete files that somehow determine your daily health management. Remember the days when you could shut your bedroom door and actually have some peace? Well, that luxury vanishes the moment you enter most nursing homes. You're suddenly sharing a cramped space with someone whose entire life story you'll learn whether you want to or not. Margaret snores like a freight train at 2 a.m. Bob keeps the TV blasting game shows until midnight. And Sarah, she talks to herself all day long. These aren't your roommates by choice. They're assigned by the facility based purely on bed availability. But here's the kicker, that thin hospital curtain between your beds, that's your privacy wall. Want to change clothes? Hope your roommate isn't watching. Need to cry after a difficult phone call with family? Everyone gets to hear. Personal conversations become public entertainment. Then there's the parade of visitors wandering through your space. Your roommate's grandson drops by unannounced while you're trying to nap. Their physical therapist needs to work right next to your bed during your quiet reading time. Makes sense, right? It's like living in a bus station. Your belongings mysteriously disappear too. Was it the cleaning staff who accidentally took your favorite sweater? Did your roommate's family member grab your reading glasses by mistake? Good luck figuring that out. Everything looks similar when it's crammed into tiny shared spaces, and the weird part is, facilities often charge thousands per month for this accommodation. You're paying premium prices for college dorm-style living, except your roommate might have very different sleep schedules, medical needs, or personal habits than yours. The staff treats this arrangement like it's perfectly normal. You'll get used to it, they say with a smile. But should you have to get used to zero privacy at this stage of life? Speaking of things you shouldn't have to get used to, wait until you hear about all the rules controlling what you can actually keep in that tiny shared space. Nobody tells you about the rule book until you're already there. Suddenly that ceramic mug your daughter gave you, too dangerous. The small hot plate you used for midnight tea, absolutely forbidden. Your favorite scented candles that helped you sleep for 20 years? Fire hazard, they say, as they box them up. The restrictions come fast and feel endless. Sharp objects include your good kitchen knives, but also that letter opener from your late husband's desk. Personal appliances get confiscated like contraband. No coffee makers, no heating pads, no electric blankets. Makes sense, right? Well, maybe for safety, but it strips away the tiny comforts that made life yours. Then there's the clothing police. Your favorite pair of slip-on shoes? Not allowed if they don't have backs. That beautiful wool sweater? Too delicate for their washing machines. Even your belt gets scrutinized. Apparently, it's too risky. You end up wearing clothes that feel like a uniform chosen by someone else. Let's not forget the decoration rules. Those family photos covering your dresser? Limited to 3 small frames. The quilt your grandmother made? Has to be fire resistant or it goes into storage. Want to hang your grandchild's artwork? Sorry, nothing with thumbtacks or nails allowed on the walls. Breaking these rules isn't just embarrassing. It comes with consequences. 3 strikes about keeping a forbidden item, and you might face room searches or lose privileges. Some residents hide small treasures like contraband, which feels ridiculous when you're talking about a pocket flashlight or extra pillows. The weird part is how these rules pile up. Each one sounds reasonable by itself, but together they erase almost everything that made your space feel like home. You start to wonder if following every single rule is worth the constant feeling that you're living in someone else's life. But the restrictions don't stop at your belongings. They extend into how you spend your days too. You know what they tell you when you're shopping for nursing homes? We have so many wonderful activities. They make it sound like summer camp for seniors. Well, here's what they don't mention in those glossy brochures. Most activities follow the one-size-fits-all approach. Doesn't matter if you spent 40 years as a surgeon or taught college literature. Everyone gets the same coloring books and basic crafts designed for the lowest common denominator. It's like being handed crayons when you're used to using a scalpel. The scheduling feels relentless too. Bingo at 10, chair exercises at 11, crafts at 2. Your personal interests? They rarely make the cut. Love gardening? Too bad, there's only generic nature time. Passionate about chess? Hope you enjoy checkers instead. Then, there's the pressure to participate. Skip too many activities and staff start treating it like a medical concern. They'll note your lack of engagement in your file. Suddenly, wanting quiet time becomes a problem that needs solving. The weird part is, forced fun isn't actually fun. Let's not forget the timing issues. Activities often conflict with when you naturally feel energetic. Night owl your whole life? Tough luck. Everything happens during standard daytime hours. Your internal clock doesn't match their schedule, but guess who has to adjust? Some residents find themselves sitting through the same rotation week after week, the same songs during music hour, the same craft projects, the same discussion topics. It's like being stuck in a loop where Tuesday always looks exactly like last Tuesday. But why does this matter so much? Because meaningful engagement keeps your mind sharp and spirits up. When activities feel childish or boring, you're not just missing fun. You're losing mental stimulation that actually matters for your well-being. The control issues don't stop at activities, though. Wait until you hear about how your physical movement gets restricted next. Your body wasn't made to sit still all day. But that's exactly what happens in most nursing homes. The great outdoors becomes this mythical place you might visit once a week if you're lucky and the weather cooperates. Staff worry about liability, so they keep you inside. Makes sense from their perspective, right? But your muscles don't care about their insurance policies. They start weakening whether you're 75 or 95. Use it or lose it isn't just a catchy phrase, it's biology. Walking becomes this supervised event instead of something you just do. You need permission. You need an escort. You need to wait for someone who has time. What used to take 2 minutes now requires scheduling and paperwork. The hallway becomes your marathon route, and that's if you're among the mobile residents. Wheelchair accessibility sounds great on paper, but reality hits different. Doorways are barely wide enough. Carpets grab your wheels. that beautiful garden you saw in the brochure. Good luck reaching it when the ramp is steep enough to qualify as a ski slope. Then there's the exercise equipment situation. Most facilities have maybe one stationary bike that's older than some of the residents. Physical therapy happens twice a week for 30 minutes if you're fortunate. The rest of the time, your joints stiffen while you wait for the next scheduled movement session. Here's the cruel irony. The less you move, the more help you need with basic tasks. It becomes this downward spiral where independence slips away one unused muscle at a time. Your legs forget how to carry you confidently. Your balance starts playing tricks on you. The weird part is how this creates more work for everyone. Staff end up lifting and assisting residents who might have stayed stronger with regular movement. But when visiting hours are equally restrictive, even family support becomes complicated. You know what's worse than losing your independence? Having the people who love you most treated like unwelcome intruders. Welcome to the world of inflexible visiting hours, where nursing homes decide when you get to see your own family. Most facilities operate like old-fashioned banks. Visiting hours typically run from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on weekdays, with some places shutting down completely during lunch and dinner. Weekend hours, often shorter. Your daughter works until 7 p.m.? Too bad. Your grandson's baseball game ends at 8 p.m. and he wants to share the excitement? Nope, gates are closed. But here's the kicker. Surprise visits are basically forbidden. Your family can't just drop by to brighten your day. They need to call ahead, sometimes days in advance, just to sit with you for an hour. Makes sense, right? Nothing says family warmth like scheduling love by appointment. Then there's the dreaded time limit. Right when you're getting comfortable, really connecting with your visitors, staff start hovering. 5 more minutes. The pressure builds. Conversations feel rushed. Important things go unsaid because everyone's watching the clock. Holiday celebrations become particularly cruel. Christmas morning with grandkids? Only if it falls within approved hours. Your birthday dinner? Better hope it's scheduled between 2 and 4 p.m. on a Tuesday. Emergency emotional support when you're having a rough day? Wait until tomorrow's visiting window opens. The weird part is how this affects your family too. They start treating visits like doctor appointments. Formal, structured, stressful. Natural family dynamics disappear when everything operates on institutional time. Some places claim it's about maintaining order or protecting residents' rest. But what they're really protecting is their own convenience. Staff schedules matter more than your emotional needs. While visiting restrictions create one barrier to connection, there's an even deeper problem with how nursing homes handle your individual care needs. When you're dealing with rigid visiting hours and rushed staff, there's another problem lurking right behind it. Getting care that actually fits, that becomes nearly impossible. Here's what happens daily. Staff members rotate constantly, so the person helping you Monday might not see you again until Friday. That nurse who finally learned you prefer your coffee black? Gone next week. The aide who understood you need extra time getting dressed because of your arthritis? Transferred to another wing. Your morning routine at home might have been reading the newspaper with breakfast at 9 a.m. Well, breakfast happens at 7:30 sharp here, and newspapers aren't part of the budget. You've always been a night owl who loved staying up late with a good book. Lights out at 10 p.m., no exceptions. Cultural traditions get steamrolled too. If your family celebrates specific holidays with certain foods or customs, good luck making that happen. The kitchen doesn't do special requests, and activities are planned months in advance. Your spiritual needs? There's a generic chaplain who visits twice a week, whether that matches your faith or not. The weird part is how your medical needs get the same cookie-cutter treatment. Sure, they follow your doctor's orders about medications, but what about the little things that keep you comfortable? Maybe heat helps your back pain more than ice, or you sleep better with 2 pillows instead of 1. These preferences get lost in the shuffle of shift changes and standardized procedures. Staff genuinely want to help, but they're managing 30 other residents with their own needs. Your individual quirks and preferences become inconveniences in a system designed for efficiency, not personalization. And then there's something even more concerning that gets overlooked entirely in these busy facilities. Your physical health gets checked regularly in nursing homes, but your mind? That's a different story entirely. Depression rates among nursing home residents hover around 50%, yet most facilities treat mental health like an afterthought. Well, when someone's world shrinks to four walls and a shared bathroom, feeling down isn't exactly shocking. The weird part is how quickly sadness becomes normal in these places. Staff members walk past residents staring blankly at walls, tears rolling down faces, assuming it's just part of getting older. But here's what they're missing. Being sad about losing your independence isn't the same as clinical depression requiring treatment. Then, there's the anxiety factor. Imagine not knowing if today's the day your roommate gets moved, your favorite nurse quits, or your medication gets switched without warning. That constant uncertainty creates a stress level that would crack most people. Yet anxiety often gets dismissed as adjustment issues that time will supposedly fix. Memory problems get worse when your daily routine disappears completely. Your brain thrived on familiar patterns for decades. Makes sense, right? But nursing homes operate on their schedule, not yours, leaving your mind scrambling to find anchors in an unfamiliar world. Let's not forget the grief factor that nobody talks about. You're mourning your old life while trying to accept this new reality. Friends from your neighborhood feel like distant memories. Your garden, your kitchen, your favorite reading chair, all gone. Processing that level of loss requires real support, not just happy hour bingo. The most troubling aspect? Many residents never get one-on-one time with mental health professionals. Group activities aren't therapy, despite what brochures suggest. When someone's struggling with thoughts of worthlessness or wondering if life still has meaning, they need genuine help, not craft time. But the challenges run even deeper than overlooked emotional needs. Moving into a nursing home feels temporary at first. Maybe you're recovering from surgery. Perhaps family needs a break from caregiving. You tell yourself it's just for a few months, but here's what nobody warns you about: getting out becomes nearly impossible once you're in. The waiting lists tell the whole story. Better facilities, 6 months to 2 years, assisted living with more freedom, full up, independent senior housing. They want proof you can manage alone, which is tough to show when you've been getting help with everything for months. Then there's the money trap. Your insurance approved this place. Medicare covers some costs here, but switching means starting over with approvals, assessments, and paperwork mountains. Financial coordinators make it sound like leaving would cost a fortune you don't have. What about going home? Well, that gets complicated fast. Many families sell the house to pay for care. Your belongings get donated or stored somewhere you can't remember. The kitchen you cooked in for 30 years now belongs to strangers. Even if the house is still there, it feels foreign after months away. The weird part is how quickly you lose confidence in your abilities. Staff dress you, serve your meals, and manage your schedule. After a while, the idea of grocery shopping or cooking dinner seems overwhelming. You start doubting whether you could really handle life outside these walls. Support systems for leaving barely exist. No one teaches you how to readjust to independence. No gradual transition programs. It's either full care or figure it out yourself. Most people just stay. What seemed like a temporary solution becomes your permanent address. But even when you're stuck inside, there's still one battle worth fighting: making sure you get the care you deserve, not just the care that's convenient for everyone else.